Hello viewers, 4DIYers here with another tutorial video for everyone. In this particular video here, I'll be doing a demonstration of how to replace the rear wheel cylinders on a first-gen Toyota Tacoma. This particular truck I am working with here today is a 2001 four-wheel drive model which has a larger diameter brake assembly. A similar procedure may also apply to the third-gen 4Runner models as well. This video is sponsored by ECS Tuning. They have provided me with the pressure bleeder, which is made by Schwaben. A link to the pressure bleeder will be included in the description below. First, start by safely elevating the rear of the vehicle and then remove the wheels. The existing wheel cylinders were not seized or leaking on this truck, but thankfully the previous owner had some new replacement parts for preventative maintenance. Typically, wheel cylinders can fail in a couple different ways. They can either seize up from rust. They do have two pistons, one pointing to the front and one pointing towards the rear. Either these pistons or both can seize. The seals can also fail in the wheel cylinder, which will be shown by residue inside the brake drum assembly or on the outside of the backing plate towards the bottom. Now to remove the brake drum, unfortunately the parking brake linkage on this drum, also known as a parking brake bell crank, is seized and catching up on the lip of the drum. So I'm using a hammer to retract the pads. This will be getting replaced as well, and that will be saved for a future tutorial video. Once that drum is removed, the wheel cylinder is located at the top of the assembly. The wheel cylinder can be replaced without completely disassembling the brakes. Remove a C-clip on the adjuster lever using a standard screwdriver. I found it's easiest to close up the automatic adjuster so the shoes have a little bit more movement. Depending on which side you're working on, these do turn in different directions. You can use a standard screwdriver, pliers, or your fingers to move the star wheel. Remove the shoe hold down spring. Only one needs to be removed. Considering we will be working with brake fluid in a moment, make sure the fluid does not come in contact with paint as it can damage it. Moving on to the back side, removing the brake line at the wheel cylinder. Use a line wrench to prevent the line from stripping. Unfortunately, I was having a slight problem here as the fitting is rusty enough to twist the line slightly. Once that happens, the line structure is jeopardized. Therefore, they will need to be replaced regardless if it breaks or not. Have a drain pan below to catch any dripping fluid. Press the tang and then pull the plug off for the ABS sensor. Now remove the two 10mm bolts which holds on the wheel cylinder. These are in rough shape, so I'll be replacing them with socket heads of a higher grade instead. Give the wheel cylinder a light tap with the hammer if it's stuck in place, and then remove. As you can see, the wheel cylinder is still functioning fine. However, after disassembly, I did notice a bulge in the one boot, which is caused by rusting. This will eventually cause an open area, forcing foreign contaminants around the piston and causing that piston to seize. Install the new wheel cylinder. I have installed new fasteners with washers as well, but you can reuse yours if they're still in good condition. Reinstall the hold down spring for the shoe. Make sure the shoes are properly interlocked with the wheel cylinder's pistons. The shoe should fit inside a U-shaped push block. And then reinstall the automatic adjuster lever along with the C-clip. I'll show you how to adjust the shoes once the system has been bled. Moving on to the driver's side of the truck. Remove a C-clip for the automatic adjuster lever. Then remove the lever. Close up the adjuster. Remove the shoe hold down spring. Disconnect the ABS sensor. Now remove the two 10mm bolts which holds on the wheel cylinder. Remove the brake line on the rear and have a pan handy to catch any dripping fluid. Most of the fluid was drained from the opposite side here, so I didn't really have any fluid left in this line. Unfortunately, with this side, the fitting was far too gone, so I had to cut off the line. Install the new wheel cylinder. Then reinstall the automatic adjuster lever and C-clip. Reinstall the hold down springs for the shoe. I took the easier but slightly more expensive route and purchased new pre-bent lines from the dealer. While they are more money, they do have an epoxy coating to resist rusting and a rubberized casing as added protection. Due to rusting, some of the bolts used to hold down the existing lines did break, so the remaining studs needed to be drilled, and then threads were cleaned up using a tap. While the rear brake lines were off, I did strip down the rear axle, treated the rust, and then applied a farm equipment paint. As you can see, I now have the new pre-bent lines which are getting installed. All the new hardware bolts were replaced with stainless steel, so I didn't have to worry about future rusting. I did purchase new retaining clips for the brake lines, just waiting for them to arrive. While the lines are hooked up, I can bleed the system of air, just to ensure the fittings are tight. Here I'm using my new Schwab pressure bleeder kit from ECS Tuning. A link to this product will be included in the description below. I have been using this pressure bleeder for replacing the fluid in my other car, and it makes brake work a breeze. No need to have an extra helping hand, and it efficiently bleeds the system without any issues. Included in the kit is a pressure bleeder tank, supply line, and generic master cylinder reservoir cap, which we'll be using. Also included is a European-specific master cylinder reservoir cap and various filling tips for other fluids such as transmission or differential oils. Videos will be released for those in the future. Start by removing the orange cap, which also has a pressure relief valve. I added about 1 liter or quart of brake fluid. This truck requires a .3 type fluid. You'll want to ensure the bleeder has enough fluid so it doesn't run empty and risk the chance of introducing air into the system. Open the hood and locate the master cylinder reservoir, which is on the firewall on the driver's side. Wipe off the surrounding area to remove any dirt which can fall inside the reservoir, then remove the cap. Now to install the generic cap, feed the chain around the bottom of the master cylinder and come around to the opposite side. Install the J-hook with the wing nut, tighten the chain and clip it onto the J-hook. Then tighten the wing nut. Ensure the cap is centered so we don't risk any chance of any fluid leaking out. On the base of this cap, it uses a large rubber seal which works on a variety of reservoir fill openings. Install a line onto the pressure bleeder tank, then clip it onto the quick disconnect on the reservoir cap. Ensure the valve of the quick disconnect line is off so we can centralize a leak at any connections if there is one. Pump the system up to 10 to 15 psi. I'm going to about 13. Over 15 may risk the chance of damaging any seals in the braking system. Monitor for any leaks. Open the valve slowly, and then monitor the gauge for any leaks again. If a leak is present, you will see the gauge pressure drop slowly over time, and tighten the connections as needed. Once the system is pressurized, it will automatically replenish the system with fluid. But it's always a good idea to keep an eye on the fluid level when done bleeding each wheel cylinder. Starting with the furthest wheel from the master cylinder, remove the rubber cap on the bleeder and then install a line wrench of the correct size. Attach a rubber hose which fits tightly around the bleeder that goes directly to a drain pan or bottle. Loosen the bleeder screw and watch for the fluid entering the line. Typically I like to keep the line elevated, allowing it to fill with fluid so I can monitor when air bubbles are leaving the bleeder screw. Monitor the line until no more bubbles are leaving the bleeder screw, then tighten. Moving on to the other wheel, the driver's side. Be sure to keep an eye on the pressure. Do not allow the pressure bleeder to go down below 10 psi. Also, do not allow the fluid to get low either. Install the line wrench, then the clear hose going to a drain bottle or pan. Loosen the bleeder screw, again elevating the line to monitor for any bubbles. As a close-up, you can see bubbles are in the line. We don't want air into the system as it's highly compressible than compared to a fluid and will jeopardize braking performance. Once no more bubbles are present in the fluid, tighten the bleeder screw. To remove the pressure bleeder, first we must remove the pressure in the system. This is done by pressing the pressure relief valve on the fill cap. Ensure the gauge is at 0. Turn off the valve. Disconnect the line at the cap. And now remove the cap. Do not keep the reservoir open for an extended period of time as brake fluid will absorb moisture which affects its performance. If you're wondering how to test the quality of brake fluid, I do have a video on that, so be sure to check it out. If there's too much fluid in the reservoir, use a turkey baster to remove it. The fluid level should be between the minimum and maximum lines. The last step is adjusting the brake shoes, as we did remove the automatic adjusters. First press the brake pedal in order to center up the shoes. Remove the rubber cover on the backing plate for the automatic adjuster. Each side will rotate in different directions. Using a standard screwdriver, rotate the star wheel on the automatic adjuster until there's mild drag on the drums when rotated. In this example, to give you a better view with the drum off, here is how the adjustment is done. As you can see the screwdriver from the back side rotating the star wheel adjuster. If they're too tight, then use a screwdriver to push the lever away and rotate the star wheel in the opposite direction. Once done, reinstall the wheels. As a tip, you can also drive the vehicle in reverse. However, it's safer to adjust the brakes by hand as the pedal movement may be too far depending on how far out of adjustment they are. Check the brake pedal feel and ensure it's firm. If you find the pedal is spongy, then you may have more air in the system and you will need to re-bleed it. New videos released every week on my channel. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It's a huge help to me. And leave a comment below if you found this tutorial helpful. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to also hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.